Do you have anything on your agenda?
Just one thing that I wanted to get your thoughts on before I roll it out to the whole commission.
Okay.
I talked with the manager, and she thinks we can make something like this happen. It's not concrete. I just want to get the staff to work on it and see what people think. I'm interested in putting out an RFP for space at the at GTech, because we apparently have empty space, for a bank or credit union branch.
Oh, I think that's fabulous.
And I don't know why I didn't think about that before. It just popped into my head that if banks or credit unions were going to do it on their own, they would have done it already. If we open an RFP for some number of years of a free lease, we will give you the square footage. I don't know if they build it out or if we offer to help build it out or something, but the CRA could do that. I mean, it's in the CRA.
I think that is a fabulous idea. And, you know, it's the same thing we do, I'm trying to think of what we called it. When you're trying to get companies to come into town, you give them a, what is it called, a tax something?
There are tax increments we could offer there, but this would just be straight from CRA. And again, we have empty space, so.
Well, while you're thinking on that line, who else could we offer space to?
Right.
Just, you know, and I think that is a great idea. My mind is running now to think of other people.
At first I was thinking, well, maybe we should offer space in, as we build out with UF, the health center next door. But then I realized, well, we already have a building. Why should we wait a couple, 3 years to see what we can build out? And we do, I checked it out, we do have some empty space there. I don't know how much is empty.
Well, I think we have a lot.
Right.
First, and while the city is doing that, have them correct the signage. That signage is still up. I mentioned this months ago, but it needs to come down. And so we'll see. You know, I was thinking about, I was thinking maybe a coffee shop, but then you wouldn't have the population.
Right.
You wouldn't have enough foot traffic for it.
Right. But as, I mean, people need a bank branch. And if they're on their way home, even if it's serving people in Hawthorne, that's fine. It's on the way.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And we may find out that banks and credit unions aren't interested, but free space is hard to
I think somebody will jump on it.
I imagine that a credit union is probably.
Which would be okay, which would be great. He's talking about a proposal to offer free space to a credit union. Oh, I was talking to you, but you're reading.
I'm sorry. I saw you glance my way.
No, but that is the teacher in me. If I start talking and I don't have eye contact, I'll just stop. Okay. He's talking about a branch offering free space to a credit union or a bank in GTech.
The goal is to get a bank branch or a credit union branch, some kind of financial institution east of Waldo Road. And we have a building with space that is part of the CRA. So the idea would be to do a competitive RFP and see if anybody's interested.
I would want to suggest in your RFP that you ask them to present their existing and past initiatives of community service. You want to get a credit union that has some thinking about helping neighborhoods and consumers.
Absolutely.
That's a good idea.
I don't want to just put anybody in there,
No.
but it's also true that in a lot of suburban locations that are not in the middle of the city, the banks are closing down branches. I mean, the BBVA branch at 43rd and 16th next to the Mohawk Republics closed down.
Oh, really?
That's not there anymore. There are 2 or 3 that used to be thriving branches that have been closed down. So I think it needs a little incentive, but yeah, I mean, I would, that should be part of the competitive process is what are you going to bring and what, how do we know that you'll be a good corporate citizen.
Okay, I'm also wondering if we could do a sort of city services substation, like for utility bills,
Sure.
utilities, transit, some other services, where people could come and get information, pay their bill, or what have you. That might also.
Well, and we're going to build out we have the federal DOT funding to build out the transfer station, bus transfer station, that I think the plan is still to put it next to the health facility.
Oh, yes, that's true, that's true.
But
It
that's
is.
all, half a block away. I mean, it's because that's, my understanding is that property is the old Crevassus property.
It is.
So it's right there.
It is. And you were talking about other services on that property. I'm sure that a blood center would like to go there.
Sure.
Yeah, on that in that little medical complex. That's a good idea.
So, yeah, like I said, I talked to the manager about it. I was gonna bring it up in commission comment last Thursday, but we had so much else
Had
going
so
on.
much, so much.
And this gives us the opportunity to talk about it one-on-one too, and see what,
Okay, I have a question. Do you know how much money, or do you remember from a previous year, how much we have in carryover and unspent salaries or positions?
I don't know, and the reason I don't know is because that number fluctuates a lot. And particularly at GRU, I've never gotten a really good answer.
That's, funny you should say that.
The answers are getting better, but they're not.
We're not there.
Yeah.
Well, taking the issue with the outside funding agency, the county dedicates a percentage of their budget. And so I was thinking that maybe that would be a part that we could look at, is unspent salaries, because somebody brought that up. But unspent salaries would be, I don't know how much. But I think the county is up to maybe $1 million. I forgot how much it is. That's kind of steep, so
It is,
we're going to
yeah.
have to build, and I'm
Right.
trying to think of where we could get money from.
Without a new line, yeah.
Don't want to, no, trying to find it.
So the only thing I'm worried about with that is it will take us a couple of years for everybody to understand that even once we appropriate
Oh,
that money,
yes.
that's it. You cannot come back, 2 weeks before we pass the budget
Yeah.
and say, oh, what about this?
See, and that was not right. But I think once you say no to the first one who comes back, the word will spread.
Right.
The other thing is, this kind of needs to move kind of quickly because it involves you, Kristen, because we have to establish a new board. They have a citizens advisory board that is the outside agency funding. People have to apply, you got to get them trained, you got to get them all up and running. So that's going to be part of it also. But say no a few times, the word will get around.
Right, well, so I don't ever begrudge community groups asking for money.
That's what I would do.
Right, exactly. But as commissioners, we have to figure it out. And I think as we have longer terms, I think that we start to figure that out too, and understand better what we're doing.
What we're going to do.
That's my hope, at least.
The other thing, I hope as we get new commissioners that we will establish some kind of order. I like Robert's Rules of Order. And it seems that that's how we operated once before, when I was here.
So we have in the rules some fairly specific, I forget how it refers to it, but it mentions Robert's Rules as a general guide,
Okay.
but that we don't have to use Robert's Rules, and that we have our own set of rules. We just deviate a lot from what our rules are. is
Well,
the issue.
I think then maybe that should be part of the training when we come on. Well, my first meeting, I wanted to make a substitute motion.
Right.
And that's when the mayor said, oh, no, we don't do that. We don't do that here. We don't follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Right.
So I thought that was quite that was quite concerning. And then I think Joe Beatty really made a good point. If the rules are clear, you have order, then things don't get as combobulated, but.
So one of the things that we did in 2017 or 18, I forget, it was early in my time, we had a workshop. It was over at Thelma Bolton, and the AC was running, and you couldn't hear a word anybody said, but we had a workshop about rules. And we took 3 or 4 hours and went through the rules.
Okay.
And it was really helpful to me. And I think that's something we ought to do in January.
Yeah, I agree, I agree.
I think that's something the commission
Yeah.
should do in January.
Yeah.
Because we'll have at least 3 new people. And it just would be really helpful for
Who do
everybody
not
to.
really have government experience yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it would be useful. And the new mayor should be able to set the new tone.
I hope so. And I think, I would like to see a return to committees.
I generally like committees as well. I mean, I think it probably means more work for every commissioner, but I think that most of our candidates are coming in with the understanding that this is a job, and that it takes time.
Yeah. But I think we can get a better product, and it involves the staff more right on the front end. If the Public Safety Committee can come to a committee and flesh out everything there. So I think that will cut down on.
And we have had, one of the reasons that for the last several years, we have not had a great relationship to the commission as a body with GPD is that we don't talk about GPD unless there's a problem.
Right,
I mean, it's just never on the agenda.
but they do good things.
Right, well, and public safety is half our budget, so we ought to be talking about it. And if we have a public safety committee,
Yeah.
that guarantees that some percentage of the commission is regularly understanding what's going on. And I think that helps the ranking file of both GPD and GFR feel
Yeah.
understood.
Absolutely. And I don't know what we would do with GRU, but since you have the utility board, but something needs to be done there too. I think tomorrow, hopefully it's on the agenda for tomorrow, the rate stabilization fund.
Thursday.
I've got the days,
I
yeah.
just want to make sure I'm right.
Yeah, Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, that should be, I mean, you asked for it.
That's what I requested, yeah.
And I'm glad that we're gonna have the discussion,
Mhm.
because it's incredibly complex, and Tony's a good communicator. And if we communicate that stuff regularly, then we
Right.
understand it, and then
Right.
we can help the community understand it. But it's not a simple thing. And-
No, it's not. I found out that it's not, and it's not as easy as some people want to paint it.
Right.
So it's going to take some time to understand it.
So I had, because there are people saying this, I have people come out to me and say, we have $80 million. I said, no, it's not $80 million, it's $34 million.
Yes.
And $34 million goes away in a heartbeat when you're actually buying fuel.
Yeah. Well, you know, that $80 million fee came up at my
Right.
town hall.
Mhm.
And I said, wow, why aren't we using that money? Then I called Tony and he said, it's not 80 million, it's 34. And
Yeah, so it's less than half right away.
right away.
And the cost of fuel is just so incredibly high. It wouldn't, it's crazy that $34 million barely makes a dent, but it barely makes a dent.
Well, we found that out with ARPA.
Yes. Yeah.
We found that out too. I think a lot of people are going to tune into that meeting because they, my little friend is promoting it, Miss Debbie. She is promoting it, but I think that people will have a better understanding. He's going to have the charts and graphs,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah, and I asked him to please be heavy on visuals.
Thank you.
I mean,
So did I, thank you.
not everybody learns through what we hear. I need to see it, and I have to graph things out myself just so I understand it.
Yeah, I think that will help. But it's, and I also think, I come back to this, if we had this regular weekly, bi-weekly TV show,
Mhm.
this would be an excellent opportunity to teach the public,
Yes.
to get them on board.
Mhm.
You know, you find out, going out to these community meetings, I know I'll see you tonight, going out to the community meetings, you find out people just don't have the information.
Right.
Because by right, at no meeting,
Right.
people, we've been with the Azalea Trails, and they shouldn't have to know that, but that's something
Right.
we can teach people and bring them along.
Mhm. Yeah, and I did, last fall, I tried to start a series of planning education
Mhm.
things with the Sun and Carl Anderson and a few other folks. And it's such a big lift that it's hard to get that off the ground.
Well, do we have a program, again, like the county, the access where they have citizens, it's a citizens academy, they
That's
come
exactly
in?
how, yep.
Yeah.
We had it, we just, Kristen, do you know when we last did one of those? It's been a couple of years, we shut it down
It's
because of
been, I
COVID.
think, pre-me, unfortunately.
Okay, so it's been at
Before
least 4 years.
2019, yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know, maybe that's something we need to look at
Yes.
again, because I think it's very useful. It's an opportunity for people to learn the different departments,
Mhm.
how to access them, their role.
I do know there's a city services fair coming up on the 24th
Of
at
September.
Howard Bishop of
Right.
September.
And that's great, I love
Yeah.
that, but it's not quite the same thing.
Not the same thing, but it is.
Yeah, what this is a 6 weeks program, and you might take two departments or 3 departments a week, and they come in, and the Citizens Academy is for about a half a day,
Okay.
once a week, and then they graduate, they get a certificate. But it's training citizens on government.
Well, and it can be a funnel for getting people involved in advisory boards.
Absolutely.
And that's, if we operate in a vacuum, people are going to get funny ideas about what goes on at City Hall. And if we don't tell the story,
Open
somebody else
it
will.
up, open it up, yeah, yeah. So maybe I'll bring that up tomorrow then, Thursday. Well, we won't have time to talk about it, but I think that
And I think Yvette Carter could do a great job leading something like that.
should be fantastic.
I mean, I don't want to tell the manager what to do. but-
Well, because that's sort of what she's done with GRU in the
Right.
neighborhood.
Right.
I don't know if she want to take on any more, but this would be perfect,
Yeah, I think that's a necessary thing.
yeah. So,
And a lot of former city commissioners in the mid-2000s up to about 2014 or so were graduates of that. So it does get you thinking about how it actually works.
Well, it's a good credential to have.
Yeah. Yeah. I asked a while back, and I know everybody's busy. Everybody's got more on their hands than they can handle. Everybody from at least my generation down knows Schoolhouse Rock. We know how a bill becomes a law. You know, so the process for DC and Tallahassee, everybody kind of gets that. Everybody who has any engagement whatsoever kind of gets that. They have no idea how an idea becomes an ordinance.
You know,
I mean, they really don't.
that's a great idea.
And I wouldn't expect it to catch fire like Schoolhouse Rock, but
But-
with that same concept, and there are tools out there to relatively simply in 3 or 4 minutes go through a concept in a little animated basis, and we could just push that out there and help people understand.
The communications department could take that up.
Yeah. And,
I like that idea.
I have to believe that information and education makes everything better.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because when people are in the dark, I mean,
All they know is it costs a lot of money. And they don't.
And they're tired of you telling them that it costs a lot of money, because they
Right.
know that, yeah, they
Right.
know that, they know that. So, okay, that's a good idea too,
So let's,
how an ordinance becomes a law.
and,
Citizens Academy,
yeah.
and unencumbered funds. What do you call those?
Surplus.
Surplus
Yeah.
funds, surplus funds.
For community orgs. And check on how, what other space might be available for other things out at the GTEC and the sign. We need better signage for just about everything. One of the things that I notice when I go to when I visit somewhere that feels good is it's easy to find things. I mean, that's one of the things that I think makes it simple. If you're looking around and you're checking your phone to try to figure where stuff is,
Yeah,
you
that's
don't enjoy it.
Yeah, well, did the on-street media fellow come see you?
Not recently. They come through every
Okay,
now and then.
maybe that's why they stopped in and to see me, because I'm new. With their signage, signs on the,
The utility boxes?
Yeah. yeah, but you're right, good signage would help a lot.
I mean, we have some leftover signage from I don't know how many years ago, and it's fine, but it's not good enough. And as things change, we just need to
Updated.
need to think through that. We're not gonna have a great downtown without functional signage.
Well, that hotel is going to bring so many new people to town,
Yep.
so we need to get on this. Have you heard any more on the doors and the hotel?
Last I heard was that they're taking reservations for the next game.
Now, this-
So week after.
Oh, you're kidding.
They're.
Oh, there's going to be a grand
Most of them are-
opening soon.
Yeah, they haven't built out all the downstairs space, but the apartments are all rented. And I forget how many, it's not a huge number of apartments, but the ones that they have are all rented to young professionals. They're not rented to students.
Good, thank
which-
goodness, thank goodness, thank goodness.
Which kind of tells me there's a market for that. So, and I thought there was, but this is proof of concept.
Well, I can't wait for it to open.
Yeah. I think that's just going to be great. My daughter is working a few hours a week at the Hippodrome as I forget what they call it, door manager kind of thing. And I had to pick her up at 11:30 Friday night. And it's a reminder that downtown is different after 10 o'clock.
It's a different group.
Yeah. Now it'll be a little easier once second place is finished and the rebuild there is done. But when the hotel is fully open and leased up entirely downstairs, it's challenging. I mean, it's not easy to drive south of Second Avenue.
No. This
So-
is, it's going to be great to see it. It's just going to help so many businesses.
Oh, yeah. And it'll make the Hampton Inn step their game up a little bit. And I think it's, I don't see a big downside to it. I mean, it was a dirt parking lot.
That's true. That's true.
So we went from a dirt parking lot and a one-story, no windows office building to,
That's right. A fabulous,
yeah,
fabulous structure. I think it's fabulous. Well, my neighbors are complaining about the street closures. So,
which one? Oh, the streeteries, okay.
the streeteries. So I don't know, when are we coming back to that issue?
We didn't have a date for it. So I'll tell you, my preference is close, or open rather, where Flacco's is on Northwest Second Street leading into Pleasant Street. Reopen that, but keep Second Avenue, those two
Yeah.
blocks of Second Avenue closed except for the space that, so First Street going north and south, by the parking lot and by Lot 10, that should be open, I think, so that needs to be open across. Because they're gonna have to be able to get things into lot 10
Oh, yeah.
to build that out. But mostly to have that available. And I think once we commit resources to it and make it, and they don't have to be significant resources, just enough to make it pretty and feel good, I think that's a game changer.
Now, is Flacco's, is that the old jewelry store? Are you talking about
Yes.
the area? Okay, that's the area, okay.
Yeah, just that one block of.
I agree, because it leads right into Pleasant Street. And,
Right. Yeah, I think most folks in Pleasant Street really don't want to have that blocked. But Second Avenue, or excuse me, First Avenue, Southwest, doesn't affect any neighborhoods. It's minimal parking that it affects. So, but we have to do more than just big concrete barriers. It has to look nice.
It has to put some potted plants somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Because it's been like that for 2 years, hasn't it?
Yes. That was actually on the first list of low-hanging fruit. Silly how I am, I thought that was low-hanging fruit that I gave to the manager on the first week in the office.
Oh, and you're completing your 3rd year?
Okay. So,
Oh.
but yeah, that's just, those were my preferences.
Well, that would help, that would help. It would look better, too.
Yeah, I mean, if we make some minimal investment there to make it feel good and reopen Second Street, leading into Pleasant Street. I know Flacco's has really enjoyed having that. It's great, but some roads need to be open.
That's one. Yeah, now you had an idea for utilities with the, hope you put it in there, with air conditioning.
Yes,
Yes.
diverting the natural gas subsidies to replacing window unit air conditioners with efficient mini splits and those things.
Now, when are you going to bring that forward?
I wanted to give Tony a little time to get past the budget and then roll that out in October. That was my general idea. I've talked to a lot of people about it. Nobody seems to think it's a bad idea. There is some pushback on not doing the natural gas appliance funding. But almost none of that, it's about $250,000 a year, and almost none of it goes to replacing existing appliances. It's all for new appliances out by Parker Road.
And is that in the city?
And the idea is the natural gas folks want it to, within GRU, want to keep that growing.
Oh, yeah.
And keep that utility growing. So I hear what they're saying. But that's $250,000 we can use every year to make homes, primarily in neighborhoods where people need it the most, more efficient.
Well, and that's something so tangible that people could see.
Yes.
We really just have to concentrate on how we can get more services to people so that they can see a reduction
Right.
somewhere in their bill.
And everybody, I think there are very few people who can look at and listen to an old rusty window unit air conditioner and think, oh, that's fine, I don't need to worry about that. Everybody knows that's costing them too much money. So if we can come in and say, we're going to help you take that out and put something efficient in, it'll probably cost us about $1,500 each to do those, because there's some carpentry work you'll have to do around that and that sort of thing as
But
well.
not, but it's minimal.
Yeah. I mean, that's a thing that we can do over and over and over and over again for people. I feel like that's a win all the way around.
Yeah.
And it will lower people's bills.
Very good, very good.
So yeah, I had forgotten that. I try not to overload staff.
No, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one, and I think people will appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, what else we have other than getting ready for our charter officers recruitment?
Yeah, I was really hoping to just not do that, just to,
But here we are. But I do think need to switch the order, so
Yes.
I agree with that. That was you that said that, somebody said
I
that.
forget. I
Yeah.
was doing whatever we could to change it up, so.
Yeah, but switch the order because we need to go with the two critical areas
Right.
first. I guess we're too boring today.
We didn't do housing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you said when you first came on, we're a city of interims. It's gonna be hard to recruit good people with 4 out of 6 positions being interim.
It is, and it's very difficult for the people who are in those positions to have real staff loyalty.
Yes.
Because they see their boss as an interim,
Yep.
and that's unstable, so I don't know, yeah.
But it is what
But
it
it
is.
is what it is.
Yeah, and I worry more than anything about giving all that work to 3 or 4 brand new people who have never done it before. And I've hired lots of people outside this system, but the way this system has to work is entirely different from any other hiring process I've ever been involved in. So it's weird, and to do 4 of those in a year is going to be, it's a big lift. Big lift.
Yeah, well, hopefully the first 2 will go smoothly,
Yeah.
and then, because I hope they will.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, when we open it up, I mean, Gainesville's a good place to live. We will get applicants. We're just, the applicant base probably gets smaller every time. Because you get people who, you might get some really great applicants who have something to prove and who are new in their career and on the way up and want to take on a bigger challenge. But you also get some people who maybe are afloat out there somewhere.
Or who's looking for the next 5 years to retire.
Yes.
So,
We will find out.
this is gonna take a year.
It will. Yeah. And it's going to push some other things out of the way, unfortunately. When we had 2, I forget which ones they were, but I think we had 2 going on at once at some point a couple of years ago, and it was, we didn't get much else done because that just takes so much effort. Because by the time there may be a better way to do it than this, but we take 2 or 3 days where they rotate between each one of us in our offices or wherever we want to meet. And we've got 3 or 4 or 5 applicants rotating with each one of us. And we all just have to stay focused on that and not all the
Anything
other
else?
things we should be doing. And then there's a full day of meetings, all of us together interviewing them.
And then the community meeting.
Right. Which frankly, we did not do a good job of the last couple of times. So we need to rethink that process. Yeah.
I think the school board has a good process when they're working, when it works,
Right.
with their community meetings for the superintendent. So maybe we'll take a little cue from them.
I'm open to any way of doing it. To some degree, it's going to be the same people showing up to interview people that always show up, and that's fine. But it would be good if we could get some other people to come in and be a part of it too. But there again, people don't really understand how City Hall works. So if you tell them we're hiring a city manager, most folks in our community have no idea what a city manager does. They think the mayor does those things.
They do.
Which is why it's frustrating that they come back and say, well, mayor didn't do that, sorry.
And I guess we don't give keys to the city anymore, huh?
There's no reason we can't.
Yeah.
I would like to see some more formal
Formal
things like
things
that.
returned, that's what we did. We gave keys to the city. And just think of people coming in for that delegation we had here from
Right, from Iraq,
a
yeah.
lot. That
Yeah.
would have been a nice
Yeah.
gesture. And I think again, or maybe I did, we gave Tom Petty a key to the city.
I remember that. Yeah, that was, so, I mean, and that's and maybe once a year, we do a search for, you know, somebody who grew up here and has done great work, and we give them a key to the city and make a big deal of it. I want to invite school safety patrols to come do the
The
Pledge of
pledge.
Allegiance for us, yeah.
Oh, that would be, that,
I mean, it makes an impression on them as fifth graders for, you know, oh wow, I went to City Hall, you know. I don't know that they, you know, I don't know what most kids, my kids know what that means, but I think most kids
most
probably
kids
don't.
don't. But now, we used to do that at the county. We would have the school patrols.
Yeah.
So I think that's a tradition I'd like to see.
And then not only teachers, but mamas and daddies
Oh,
get connected to the city that way.
They do.
You feel good about it.
and we used to give Eagle Scouts awards.
Yeah, we should be doing that, right? And we've run out of school patrols to come do it, so then we can reach out to scout troops to come do it, or any number of different
And they would love
organizations.
to do that. They would
Right.
love to do that.
Right.
I think that would work.
When I was a kid, we did things like that. I mean, you'd come to get your proclamation read, and it was a big deal. We should also have, and we've talked about this, photographers, when we do, like a real photographer, not just a couple people with iPhones.
Right, but we have people on staff
Yes.
who could do that.
Right. We
Yeah.
should make when we do the proclamations, it'll take longer, but that's okay.
But it's, yeah. This is some lady wrote to us because her son had created this, he solved a math problem at Buchholz. And she wanted him to come, this is when I first got on the commission, she wanted him to come down and receive a proclamation or something from the city for doing that. I don't know what happened to that.
I think he got a recognition.
He did?
A recognition letter from the mayor.
Okay. Well, it would have been nice for him to be on TV.
Yeah, I mean,
It was their choice.
Oh,
So they
okay.
get to, on our form, they get to say if they want a proclamation read by the mayor.
Okay,
And so
okay.
they decided, and the mayor sending him a letter was the best.
Sufficient.
Yeah.
Okay.
the more people come and get proclamations and feel like they're really welcomed and feel like it was a big deal, the more the community feels good about City Hall.
Exactly. You know, and we should honor the math team at Buchholz, who's
Yeah.
won awards every year. And that was that's Marianne Frazier's son,
Okay.
who's the team leader for that.
We don't have to wait for people to come to us to ask for
We
proclamations.
can ask them.
We can be on the lookout for what's going on in the community. Yeah. They're basic, small town kind of ways to connect with the people who live here.
A proclamation naming the day. I had no idea that meant so much to someone. I did that for Mickey Singer at the county.
Right.
And 10 years later, he's walking into up across it. He says to the lady next to him, "Oh yeah, she named a day for me."
Nice. See, people remember that. And
They do.
And if we're doing something wrong, we should be called out. But when we're just here doing good work and nobody notices, that's the reason they don't notice, because we haven't connected with them.
Well, I think there are lots of things we can look at.
I think those are things, I mean, whether I win or not, we should do those things. I mean, we should make City
Good
Hall.
good ceremonial
Yes.
things. Now, we're working with Susan Crowley on the new equity director that's coming to town. She's here, but we're going to have a reception for her.
Right, so we had to cancel that last one.
We had to cancel the last one, but it's going to be in October.
Okay.
So another group I'm in, we had a paperweight made for a speaker that we had. So we had a paperweight made that we can give to this lady. But that's also something, it's inexpensive. They make it at the trophy shop. But she can have it on her desk, and it's from the city of Gainesville. But we can also think of, I thought it'd be nice to give to each new commissioner coming in as well.
that really would, yeah. I mean, those are, I think, those tangible, so I visited, this is 3 or 4 years ago now, I did some kind of lobbying thing in Tallahassee. I think it was a Moms Demand Action Day or something. But I visited City Hall, and I walked out with a bag full of stuff. You know, like, oh, have some cufflinks and
Really?
a pin, and yeah, they have City of Tallahassee branded things. And
Well, that's what we need.
I mean, for a relatively, for an amount that would disappear into our larger budget, we could do things that make people feel good about. Yeah, I was at City Hall and I got a pin that says City of Gainesville on it. Isn't
Or a
that
lanyard.
impressive? Right, something. And we have a few of those things, but they're not. It matters. If it didn't, everybody else would stop doing it.
That's right, that's right, that's right. Well, I think that's something we could send over to the clerk and let them look at and come up with some ideas.
Yeah, and we have to budget it, but I mean, $10,000 does a lot of promotional products.
A lot.
You know,
yeah,
some
yeah.
relatively small amount can get
Yeah.
lots of really
Yeah,
good things.
yeah. Well, I got this down and, this is just a little note thing.
And
This
those are about $1.50
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
in quantity.
Yeah, this was at the League of Cities, not the league, the conference.
Okay.
The conference, but it's also a nice little, this is from some CPA firm.
Yeah, I mean, the little remembrances like that matter. I mean, you can get nice pins and things like that that you can give away when we do a proclamation. You know, give them the pin along with it.
Along with the,
Right.
and the photo.
Yes. I think there are simple things we can do that require somebody's time and effort to get done and a little bit of money that make all these things get more mileage.
Well, hopefully that's something we could do starting January and not have to wait to find money for it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's,
We can start it.
there are things we can do out of fund balance, I mean, that are just discretionary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sounds very good. Well, I'm happy to hear ceremonial things return.
Yeah, people respond, humans need ritual. And if we provide some of that ceremony and that structure, people will respond to that. I really believe it.
Okay, that's good. That's
And if
good.
not, I've been wrong before, it's okay. We'll
No,
try
I
it.
think you're right. I think you're right. I think people will love it. So take that, that's what the clerk wants to do with it.
Sure, I've already written it down.
All right,
Anything
that's
else?
it. No, I'm going to meet Brian for lunch.
Oh, good. I'm getting him scheduled to do a sunshine where we can actually talk about stuff, and I'm gonna give him some, I should get this to you as well. I had the manager and the general manager make some maps. And I know not everybody's into maps, but I am. The big zoning map of the whole city, and which you can do online, but it's nice to have it just on paper in front of you. And I have a utilities map also of the whole region that shows where we have water infrastructure, where we don't, and where we have stormwater, where we don't. Maps like that are, for me, very useful.
Okay, okay.
And when I'm meeting with people, they're very useful because I can pull out a map
Point it out to them.
and it slows down a lot of questions.
Okay, okay, good, 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 good. Yeah, well,
So I'm gonna get some of those reproduced, and anybody who wants them, I think, can.
yeah, well, our meeting is noticed. I'm going to see if the press shows up.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
They might, Andy might show up.
Yeah.
He has nothing else to do.
Well, I talked to Brian, he is just chomping at the bit to get started.
I bet he is.
Because he went from, all campaign all the time to no campaign, and he's ready to figure it all out.
Don't worry, he's going to have a lot to figure out. So,
Well, everybody else can have a lot to figure out in a fairly short period of time.
he's got time.
Yeah. So he should be able to get a head start.
Yeah. And I think he should be able to meet with departments now, shouldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting him scheduled.
Okay, yeah.
I did ask him to just cool his heels a little bit with staff until after we passed the budget, so he's not all up in the middle of people's way to do that. We were coming back into town yesterday, and I saw him riding his bike down 34th Street, and I told Jillian, there's Commissioner Eastman. She said, what? I said, Brian. Oh, okay.